I was strapped into a car seat, barely old enough to talk. My dad was driving through a neighborhood, and on a whim, he pointed to some flowers in front of a house we were passing. "Isaac," he asked, "what kind of flowers are those?" I contemplated, considered, and I replied, "Daisies." My dad pulled the car to the side of the road, looked at my mom, and asked me in astonishment, "Isaac, where'd you get that from?" "From my heart," I said. I have very proud parents, but my dad wasn't amazed at my infantile flower naming skills. He was amazed because his late grandfather and my great-grandfather, Irving Block, used to refer to every flower as a daisy. It was a running joke. For him, roses, dandelions, and daffodils were all the same. They were all daisies. I don't know much about Grandpa Irving. I never met him. And I didn't ask my dad or my grandma about him before writing this speech. But somehow, we're connected. That's the power of a story. To connect you or me or anyone to someone else, no matter how far away they are, no matter how long ago they lived. That's why our study of stories can't end at graduation. We have to seek out other people's stories and share our own, because stories connect us in beautiful and unexpected ways. My great-grandfather's story is no exception. Grandpa Irving was born on July 31st, one day after my birthday. I was born after sundown on the 30th, so if we're going by the Jewish calendar, technically we were born on the same day. Appropriate, since I share my Hebrew name with him, Yitzhak, meaning laughter. I know that Grandpa Irving immigrated to the US from Russia. I know that he married my great-grandmother, Muriel. I know that he invented a secret alphabet called Tutno that my dad, aunt, and uncle still all know by heart. I know his favorite food, bagels. We have that in common. And I know his favorite restaurant, the Bagel Bar in Miami Beach that he ate at every Sunday. He had an unusual bagel eating technique. He liked to scoop out the soft, doughy inside of the bagel and only eat the harder crust. Don't worry if you find that kind of gross. I do too, but in a charming, eccentric kind of way. I know that Grandpa Irving was once a peanut salesman at Yankee Stadium. And I know he always wanted to be a street cleaner because he admired their pristine white uniforms. In some ways, my great-grandfather is a stranger to me. I would certainly be a stranger to him. All I have of him are other people's fond memories and fading recollections. I only have stories. And yet, we share a deep, unbreakable bond. Like the graduates and professors in this room, I never lost my love of stories. I read them voraciously as a child, and I continued to do so as a college student. Stories offer an insight into people, real or fictional, that we don't often find in the real world. If nothing else, our academic study has shown us that power to connect with characters or with fellow readers. But that project can't be confined to the classroom, and it shouldn't end at graduation. Listening to people and hearing their stories isn't only a moral obligation. Doing so makes life more fulfilling. We live in a golden age of human connectivity. Technology has closed the distance among different people. You don't have to leave your home to see what other people think or what they're up to. Still, the consequences of this proliferation of stories are unclear. Will we seek out one another's stories? Will we relate them in a way that attends to diversity and inspires compassion? Over the last 4 years, we've gotten pretty good at telling stories and seeking them out. It'd be a shame to waste those skills. So make storytelling and story listening the central and sacred practices of your daily life. At the same time, don't limit your curiosity to the stories of the people around you. Seek out the stories of strangers, like my great-grandfather. Speaking of Grandpa Irving, there's one more chapter to that story. When my family went to Barcelona last summer, we wandered into an outdoor market. My dad found himself at a stand that sold old documents, overdue bonds and notices, antiquated pieces of ink and paper. My dad, almost at random, picked up one of those documents and saw that it was a bond from New York City, It was dated March 22nd, 1956. He showed it to my brother-in-law. The name printed on it was Miriam, my great-grandmother's Hebrew name, Miriam Block. And there, in the margin, was that a capital I, a lowercase r? It seemed impossible, beyond belief, but the proof was in our hands. Every detail fell into place. It was probably an anniversary gift from the happy couple's parents. It was a gift to my great-grandmother Muriel and her husband, Grandpa Rubin. Somehow, that anniversary present made a highly improbable journey from the United States to an outdoor market in Barcelona to my father's hands. The odds aren't worth calculating. They aren't calculable. My grandfather would call it bashert. It's a Yiddish word that means that unexplainable and amazing things happen, but for a reason. I can only wonder at the reason. I can only hold that piece of paper in my hands with awe. I can only shake my head at this wonderful, inexplicable world and go about my day. But if I linger in that moment, if I give myself over to the awe, I start to see things a little more clearly. I see a world teeming with human strangers whom I will never meet. People for whom